Hello, hello. This is the Coaches Lounge with your host, Barbara J. Beckley, me. I'm here again as always. We come on every Friday to spotlight the amazing, incredible experts, coaches, consultants, educators, and get their advice about life and business, not only in their own lane, but maybe something they want to share with you that they've been dealing with in their own coaching environment. I always said that I never see a show. I never really see too many people spotlighting the coaches and educators that I mentioned before. And I'm like, they need to get some love because they do a lot. Think about it. These are people that are not only working in their lane, their genius of expertise, putting out information for people, but they're working with individuals on probably a group or a one-on-one basis where it's not just maybe one day and they're like, okay, thank you very much. I helped you. But no, it might be a process. It might go through months and even years. I know myself as being a coach, I have clients that I've been working for 2 to 3 to 4 years. So we need to give the love to the coach because they got to go through the ups and downs, just like the client is going through the ups and downs. When the client's going down, what does the coach have to do? They got to bring them up. And if the coach is going down, what does the client have to do? The coach have to make sure they look like they're up. Because they want to make sure their clients are always on point, even if sometimes as coaches we go through some things. That's why coaches have coaches, but I think that's another show. But right now I just want to make sure that I bring the spotlight to the individuals that are really moving the needle for other people in their world, in their life, in their business, in their personal life, because it does take coaches, everyone. And I'm just putting it out there in Barbara's world, I feel like we all need to have coaches, and sometime more than one, sometime more than two. I mean, myself, just to put it out there, I have three coaches. I have a business coach, I have a health coach, and I have a financial coach. And you need certain places to make sure that you're just doing what you need to do. I mean, I don't know all of that, so I need people to come in that really know what they're doing to help me in my own environment, what I'm doing. So just as like a little tip for you for today is make sure that you're looking your overall what you're doing and making sure you have the potential individuals to help you. So today, as I always say, when I bring, especially the women on, I call them queens. I look at them as royalty because they do so much in the world. And I always want to tell them that they have that crown. Even though they can't see the crown, it's right sitting on their head. And I wanted to make sure it should always shine and that they know that they are lighthouses to the world. Kimberly Winters, I'm telling you, this is a woman that I can't wait for you to meet. She is in the health arena. And I'm telling you, she's going to tell you, and I read a little bit about her about, being a vegetarian or being easy with that. First, I was like, I've been always wanting to do that, but I never really found the person or took the time to really look into it a little bit more. So she's going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the healing circle, and just some other things that she does. I don't want to mess up her time of telling us because I'm not going to do it well. She'll do it brilliant. So I want to make sure I bring her on. She tells more about what she does for her clients, and she'll give some little tips today for you. So that's why I always say, get that pen out and get that pad out and write those notes and be ready. So when we start having a discussion with Mrs. Kimberly, Queen Kimberly. But before we bring her on, we'll do a quick video and she'll come right on after this.
Here's my crown.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you started with that.
It's always there, like you said.
Sometimes we, as queens, we need to help straighten, not take it off. Don't grab it. Don't get mad at it, but just change
it. That's right.
It's not crooked. Because you deserve the royalty. So just to let you know, Queen Kimberly, you deserve it.
And you do too, Barbara.
Well, lady, I want to just, first of all, just show you a lot of love right now because, and I'm always vulnerable when I get on my shows. Yes, Queen Kimberly had to wait on me a few times. I had some technical difficulties when I was first going to bring her on the show. And I asked her, I said, please, Kimberly, can we refocus this? And then we did another, and then I messed up the time zone. So shame on me.
It just means that we were meant to connect today, not those other days.
I like that. See, and that's where I talk about changing things around for the positive, and then that zone go right, because we can always go there and oh my deal this da 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 da. But I'm so glad that you said that, because I always look at the positive of that, and to the point where I finally have you on the show and we get the chance to really get to meet you now and dig a little bit deep, so people can understand what you do for the world, what you're doing. And especially when it comes to health and eating, and just looking at your whole being of that, to me, is so important moving forward and every day. Mm-hmm. So with that, Kimberly, I want to say, because I always like to get the backstory. Always love the backstories of people. So if you can just give us a little of how you even got into this world of that you do for people.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I always, as a kid, I felt really connected to animals and the environment. Mm-hmm. But I was raised, as so many of us are, just eating what my parents made and not really thinking much about it. So I ate meat until I was almost 21 years old. But I had always kind of been emotional about it when I actually thought about it. And then it turns out I didn't even like vegetables. So like, who even knew that Kimberly was destined to be vegan? But here I am, learned how to like vegetables. But I also always felt like I needed to do something for the world, for the people, and not just like the world as a whole, but even just my own little world, for the people who I interacted with on a regular basis. And I hadn't been quite sure how to do that. And when I was probably like 10 years ago, a friend of mine kept saying, like, asking me for kind of advice. He was kind of going through figuring out who he wanted to be, what he wanted to do in his life. And we would have conversations, and he would call me his coach. And he'd be like, I'm following Kimberly's plan. Kimberly is my coach. You're my life coach. And we'd have a good chuckle about it. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I was like trying to consider maybe a career change. And I thought, what about this coaching thing? So I did that in 2017. I went through a program and I got certified as a core energy coach. And so what that means is that I can coach in whatever niche that speaks to me, because my goal is to help people shift their energy around whatever it is that they are working through. So struggled with that a little bit. Who am I as a coach? Like, what does it mean? And I thought, wait a minute. I've been vegetarian at that point for, since 2001. This was 2017. And then I had gone vegan before that, but I was like, this is the most important thing to me. I was thinking, if somebody asked, tell me one thing about Kimberly, they would say Kimberly's vegan. So I married the two, and I was like, this is great. I can help people who are interested figure out how to do it. Because like I said, I came from being a person who didn't even like vegetables to someone that's her whole life now. So I did it. I was in it. When somebody comes to me and says, I don't like vegetables, I don't know how to cook, I would have no idea how to even eat this way, I go, I'm your girl, because that was me. I had to learn how to cook. I barely knew how to boil water when I first started. Chopping a vegetable to make a stir fry in 2001 with like 5 different vegetables, I'd be there an hour chopping things because I was so slow. I had no knife skills, no confidence, because I didn't think I was going to like it, didn't know how to pair flavors together, thought that the way that you made food was you have a protein in the center and stuff on the side. And that's not it at all. It's so much better than that. We pile things together. We eat things in so many different ways. And being vegan has actually expanded my culinary experience, my culinary expertise, and I eat way more food now. It was so for me to like go from that person who didn't like vegetables to this person who, like I said, lives for them,
Mm-hmm.
it really is a powerful shift. And with my coaching experience behind me, now I know how to help people. I can put it into words and kind of give people activities where they can see that how that transition can happen, even when they're so blinded by, but I can't do it. Yes, you can.
Oh, see, I see. That's why I love hearing the backstories, because I love how, just to unpack some of that, where you said with the person that was just asking you questions and they knew that you became this vegan, this person that, like you said, you were really, I'm thinking, oh, she was good with vegetable stuff. But when you said, no, I didn't know, nope, I ate the meat, I did this. See,
Yeah.
I love that, because that you can reach out to people that have that same like challenges, and you
Mm-hmm.
can say, hey, I was there. I
Yeah.
know exactly what you went through, and I know how I got through it, and I can help you the same way. And I love how your first client, basically, and he kept saying, oh, you're my coach, you're my coach. So he was already destiny
Yep.
out there. He already seen it before you were like, wait a minute, if
Yeah.
he keeps saying this, maybe I need to look at this.
Right.
So I love how that just flowed into your life like that.
Yeah, me too. It's incredible when we open ourselves up, right? We have
Mhm.
no idea where it's going to go, where it could lead.
You really don't, Queen Kimberly. I was saying that to somebody this other day. I said, you never know. That's why I always say, always be open. Like you
Mhm.
just said, I love how you said that, because you never know a challenge. I mean, not challenge, well, challenges too, but opportunities
Yeah.
that might be there. You might miss it because you're so busy, doing or just engulfed in something else. And
Mhm.
who would have thought that, like you said, you would go from liking the meat, don't really like vegetables too much, don't really like, dicing them and all that stuff, to now you're teaching people.
Yeah.
You're teaching people.
And they're enjoying it and they're
And
feeling connected because there's kind of like a a movement of sorts in a way where people are going what they call plant-based. And
Mhm.
that's not the same as being vegan. So
Oh,
plant-based is very focused on your health. A lot of people come to it because they have a health issue. They have a lot of weight to lose and someone told them if you eat only plants you'll lose a lot of weight.
mhm.
And so they come to it from that perspective.
Mhm.
Or they're learning about the environment, they're concerned about climate change, and they've read that raising animals for food agriculture actually is part of the problem. So
Mhm.
they come to it and they go, well, I'll go plant-based, I'll stop eating animals and that will make the difference in my health or in the
Mhm.
planet.
Mhm.
Vegan takes it a step further. Being
Mhm.
vegan means that you don't use animals in any aspect of your life. Now, we don't live in a vegan world, so there are some things where you just can't get around that. And most of us who live kind of in a developed area will have access to food that is vegan, will have access to products that are vegan, and that doesn't apply to everyone. There's certainly food apartheid where people don't have access to fresh food and fresh fruits and vegetables. There are people who
Mhm.
live, essentially on an ice glacier almost, and they don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. But that's not who I'm talking about when I'm saying like most of us can actually go vegan. Uh, but what it means is that this being vegan is as far as possible and practicable. You
Mhm.
don't use, consume, or exploit animals in any way. This goes from what we eat every day to the products we use to the type of vacations we take.
Mhm.
Vegans aren't swimming with the
Mhm.
dolphins. They're not having photos taken with a lion or with a monkey who has, who's on a leash and
Mhm.
who have been, heavily drugged so that they don't harm the people who are trying to take photos with them.
Mhm.
And so it's really it's a social justice movement. It is an animal rights movement, and
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing. It is hands down the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. And that's what makes me so passionate about it when people are like, I've heard about this vegan thing, or I thought about going vegetarian, and I'll say, go vegan because vegetarian also is not, we're still exploiting animals. So let's not do that.
Mhm.
Let's just go all the way. The, yeah, the vegan options that are out there now, they rival the animal-based options. So like we're out here living our best life, and I want to help people through my coaching to come and live their best life too.
Well, Kimberly, I love you. Like you said, you could tell the passion and the energy that you have or what you do. And see, that's what I think makes it even extra. That makes you the uniqueness of what you do because you love what you do and you can just see it. I can feel it just through the screen when you're talking about it. And
Yeah.
you just educated me in so many ways. And I know the audience too, because I didn't know, I knew about the plant-based. I understood, a lot of people, like you said, are kind of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know the difference between plant-based and then vegan and then vegetarian. I mean, you basically, I'm thinking when I hear vegetarian, vegan, it was the same thing.
Nope.
And then when you said about you don't even like take pictures, it's not just the eating part of it, but it's just the whole, like you said, it's a big like movement where you're not
Yeah.
even taking a picture with dolphins, you're not swimming with the dolphins. That's funny because a long time ago when I used to see people like in Florida, wherever, and they'd be like with the dolphins, and I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know if I want to do that. But everybody else says, oh, take that extra step, be, out there. And I was like, I don't think so. But now that you said that, I said, I didn't even know that that falls into that whole, thing of being a vegan. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We look at everything we do in our life, and it may sound restrictive to some people, like, oh, every time I'm about to go on vacation, I'm about to buy a new product, I'm about to go grocery shopping, I have to think about being vegan. It might feel restrictive, but it is empowering. That's what it is. And we're exposed to so many different things, and we're learning so much about the way the world operates, the the systemic issues within so many other things. And it just really opens you up and realizes like there is so much power in this one thing. I'm doing one thing. I'm buying different shampoo now. There's no animal products in my shampoo. They're not tested on animals. Learning how to read labels so that we're making those choices. And then, yeah, like going on vacation, we're not doing the swimming with the dolphins. We're not, when we book the hotel, we ask for the alternative to a down pillow or a down comforter.
Mm.
Yeah,
See, I
because
wasn't thinking about none of that. See, there's so much. I mean,
exactly.
I was like, wow, wow. Every time you're saying something like, oh yeah, oh, I didn't even realize that. Oh, I didn't know there was animal in that. So, see, this is why I always say learning is the key. I always
Yeah.
keep yourself forever learning because I'm telling you, Kimberly, and thank you again for giving us the education on that. I mean, now some people might have knew it, but I know I didn't, and I know some other people might not. And that's why I always say, when you don't know, you don't know, but when you know, you do better.
Yeah,
So just
exactly.
me thinking about some of the things you said, because when you said about going back to the animals where they, give them certain drugs or whatever so they can calm down so you don't have to attack like they do or whatever they do, I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, that's so sad. I just was like, oh
Yeah.
my God. I
And
didn't
they're
realize.
also kept in captivity.
Oh,
So
so
their
yeah.
life is sad already. And then when people show up and want to take photos, we're so trained to see humans as here
Yeah.
and animals as down here that it almost feels like, of course it's okay to take pictures with this tiger. But if we think about that tiger being able to live in their full tigerness and what that really looks like, it does not involve engaging with humans at all, let alone having your photo taken.
I like how you said queen. You was like, they're not gonna be sitting there like, okay, let's take a picture together. No, it's not none of that, right?
Exactly.
It's like, wow, yeah, you're right. We always kind of look, well, yes, is this humans? Is it, we kind of go up here, we're here, and then everybody's kind of like around in this area somewhere, and they just have to do what we say or whatever. And it's kind of sad when you look at the animals that way that we're keeping them from kind of freeing them from their own life that they need to be doing. And I like that movement of vegan, what the whole thing of what it means.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Now I know you kind of talked about some things, two key points that I wanted to bring out while we were talking. I know you said how to go vegan easily.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just give us a little bit of that? Because like you said, a lot of people say, well, I'm restricted, or I got to read all this, or I got to figure out this way. So I know you have some maybe easy tips.
I do. And my first one is to think about what your favorite meals are right now and look at how you can veganize them. So, for example, let's say that your favorite meal is tacos and you love making tacos every Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Exactly. When you go vegan, you can still eat tacos. Most corn tortillas are just corn, lime juice, and salt. So, quick label read there, no problem. And you just swap out the meat with, you could do rice and beans if you like that combo. There's multiple meat alternatives now. There's Impossible and Beyond Meat. And those saute up. You cook them exactly like you would ground beef. You can add onions or any seasonings, like taco seasoning can go right in it. And then you just have, your crumbled beef if that's what you're looking for. There are chicken strips, like vegan chicken strips that you can make. They have a texture just like that, just like you'd expect from a chicken strip. You can make it from tofu. So if you're not looking to do like the processed meat option, there's also tofu and tempeh, which is a fermented soybean. That is, you can crumble that just like meat as well. So yeah, right there, you already have multiple options. You've got now, like 5 weeks of Tuesdays where you can try a different taco every week and figure out which filling do I like the best.
Yeah.
And then most of the other taco toppings, lettuce, onions, tomato, good.
How about cheese?
Guacamole, right. Cheese and sour cream, tons of vegan cheese options now.
Okay.
And so I'll tell you a story quickly. When I first went vegetarian in 2001, I was like, I'm going to try all the vegan cheese because cheese was really like, I was addicted to cheese because cheese is addictive. We can talk about that for a second if you like. But cheese is super addictive and it's super hard to break that connection with. So I was like, I'm going to try all these vegan cheeses so I can get off the cow cheese. And the first vegan, I tried to make nachos. I had and again, I don't know how to cook either, right? Remember that? So at this point, I just put a bunch of nacho chips on a pan and I sprinkle it with this cheese. And I put some like jalapenos and like a can of like tomatoes with green chilies in it. Super simple. I put it in the oven and I'm like, what does that smell? Like 10 minutes later, it smells like plastics burning. Yeah. I open the oven and there's like a bubble and it literally looks like a bubble of plastic. It was terrible. Fast right? So I was like, nope, vegan cheese ain't there yet. Fast forward to 2023 and there are so many good options and they melt just like you expect cheese to melt, and they have the sourness or the sharpness that you're looking for in whatever cheese you're getting. And like, yeah, people, like companies out there are really like working to make cheese, vegan cheese, kind of replace cow cheese. And so in 2001, I hear you. You don't want to go vegan because cheese is holding you back. I understand. In 2023, so many options, and sour cream as well. You can make your own sour cream if you have like a high-powered blender. You soak some cashews and you dump those into the blender with some seasonings and like a little bit of oil or a little bit of plant milk to really like zhuzh it up there. And you can use that as a sour cream as well. And there are tons of vegan sour cream recipes online that probably will taste better than what I just suggested. But the options are there. So that's my first tip. Veganize your favorite meals. And that's just tacos, right? Whatever your favorite. There's even vegan steaks out there now. If steak is your jam, you can get a vegan steak, have it with some potatoes and some broccoli on the side, and you won't even know the difference.
Wow. I like how you started by saying the easiest way to do it is what you said, veganize your regular meals that you like.
Yeah.
So it's like you're working backwards in a sense. It's like, okay, let's just say, because I love Italian food, so I love lasagna. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So then I would look at lasagna and, like you said, just start saying everything that's not like the animal stuff, anything like the beef or the turkey, that I would use. I would take that out and supply it with, like you said, the other things that you can put in there.
Yeah.
Even with the cheese, because I was concerned about the cheese. That's why I mentioned. I said, "Well, how about the cheese?" Because I know I'm a cheese lover too. I
There
got you
are
on that one too.
And in a lasagna, you can make a tofu ricotta, which has the same texture. So it works in baked ziti as well, and stuffed shells. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I think that's what the thing that I was always nervous about is I don't mind trying to do the switch. It's just like I just know with me and taste. I was so concerned that because I would have horror stories from other people. They would eat tofu and all that and whatever, and they'd be like, it tastes bad, Barbara. And I'm like, and then I'd be like, I don't want to even do that. So I went back to my regular meats and stuff, right? Yeah. But I love how you're bringing a different. Now I see why people work with you because you make it, first of all, so convenient, so easy. It seems like you can do, and then you make it like exciting to taste it. Like right now, you talk about the taco, right? How you were talking about the stuff. I said, now I want that taco.
Me too.
You made it sound so good. I was like,
it is.
Just make me want a taco right now, and not even with the beef or anything. And I just want what you were saying. So I think that if we do that, like you said, veganize it. I love that word. Start off with that, and then just say, okay, this is what I can put. This is what and then that's it.
Yeah. And trust that you may not like everything at first, but that is the same. Think about just trying a new cuisine or a new food you've never heard of. That is maybe animal based, and think about how you're like, am I going to like this? Like a lot of people, there are people that are, they call themselves like true foodies, and they're whatever you put in front of them, they're just going to gobble it up and they're not worried. But a lot of people are like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Should I order something different at the restaurant? Because what if I don't like it? Now I've spent money and then I have to get a different dish if I really hate it. So we all have that, but it takes like 8 tries of a new food to be really certain if we don't like it. So, the same way we do with children, you can do that with thekids, you do it with yourself. And don't be afraid to try different options. When we think about plant milks, there's got to be at least 15 different kinds of plant milk out there from all the different nuts and seeds and oats that you can make stuff from. So, if you love whole milk, try out cashew milk or oat milk first because they're a lot richer. If you're used to using skim milk, try rice milk because it's thinner and it has the similar consistency. But if you're like, nah, I don't like rice milk, try something else.
Yeah. I'm glad they give you so many different options now compared to what, like you said, years and years and years ago. It was just like a few things, and then after that, it's like, okay, I give up, or I'm going to do it. It was right. But now it's like you can test and check different things and have that taste there. So I think that was the biggest thing for myself is to make sure that the taste was there, and it wasn't tasting like a cardboard or whatever.
Exactly. Right. For sure. And another thing that I would suggest, find your why. That's the first thing I do with my clients is I ask them, why are you even interested in veganism? And then we dig into it. We talk about our values. We talk about, are we living in alignment with our values? If we're someone who says, I love animals, and you see a dog or a cat and you smile and it makes you so happy to meet a new dog. There's so many memes out there that are like, oh, I met a dog today. I don't know who their person was. Like you don't even meet the person. You don't care about their name. You're curious about the dog and you want to meet the dog. So are we someone who says, I love animals, but we really mean I love the animals I've been conditioned to love and not the animals I've been conditioned to think of as food?
Yeah.
And we get into it, because when you have this big why, making a shift like changing to a vegan lifestyle that can be big and overwhelming is so easy when you know why you're doing it, and when it's more than just for you, when you see how your everyday activities, your everyday choices impact not just you, but other living beings who are interested in life. And you're like, oh, okay, this is easy now.
Yeah.
And you'll take the time to find the plant milk you like. You'll take the time to read a label that doesn't make sense to you at first.
Yeah.
And there's tons of apps out there now where you can scan food and it'll tell you if it's vegan. So easy peasy.
I know technology is just like, taking all over the place.
Yep.
So, like you said, Queen Kimberly, there's really no excuses, right? Because you can just zip and be like, okay, this is everything. What's I said, okay, thank you.
Yep.
and thank you for expressing that you need to know your why. I think that's in anything you do. Once you know your why, then that's like kind of your foundation. I would say that's your foundation for everything after that, because then you can always go back to that why if you start to do something a little bit different. You ask yourself, well, wait a minute, what was my why for this? Why am I doing this in the first place? Oh, that's why. Okay, then you go back, say, no, I'm not going to do the dolphins. Because my why is I love these animals. I don't want them. This is not what it's at. Let them be free. So it always will bring you back to that foundation of why you're doing what you do, especially you being a vegan and being part of that. And I just love, again, Kimberly, thank you for expressing it's more than just the eating part of it. See, a lot of people might just stop right there and say, well, it's the eating part. I'm trying to be vegan. It's bigger than that. Not to say, oh my God, is more whatever. I got to think about all this, but going back to really why you want to do it. Yeah.
And how lucky we are that we get to choose to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's so powerful. You're so right. Wow. Well, Kimberly, I want to make sure I give you just some little more time to talk to our audience and just any last thoughts that you want them to have. So I'm going to take myself down for like 30 seconds and I'll come back up and I'll make sure they get your contact while you're talking.
Thank you. So find your why. If you've ever considered going vegan or maybe even just incorporating more vegan items in your life, just do it. And think about why. Think if it's the animals, think about those animals. Think about how powerful it is, this choice that you get to make every single day. And remember, every time we do that, we're planting seeds for other people. So often when we're looking at systemic issues in the world, it feels so big and we feel so small. But the more that we make the choices that we know are in alignment with who we are, and we show up in the world that way, people see that, even if you don't speak to them. People you do speak to hear what you're saying. They see what you're doing, and those seeds get planted. And who knows, maybe next time they order a vegan dish, they buy that shampoo that isn't tested on animals, they take a different vacation because of an action they saw you take. And who knows who they're inspiring when they take that next action. So do it. Be big. Don't be afraid. Thank you, Barbara.
Oh, thank you, Queen Kimberly. See, that's why I love talking to these wonderful experts, because they give you so much information and you can see the heart that they have. And this queen has that heart. So you continue on with your success of what you're doing, with not just yourself within your life, Kimberly, but with so many other people that are coming your way. I'm not even your client. I already learned so much from you. So thank you so much for coming on the Coaches Lounge, sharing just a little bit taste of what you do, giving people some, just some gold nuggets. I told you people had that pen and paper. Hope you had it.
I hope so.
And write down and veganize yourself.
Right.
So we will see everybody at the next Coaches Lounge, like I said, every Friday. And if you are a coach, a consultant, or an educator, please come on. Just reach out to me through Facebook Messenger, and we'll get you on the agenda to make sure that you come on. And Kimberly, I just want to let you know that you are family now, so you're always welcome to come back. Always welcome to come back.
I'd love that, Barbara. Thank you so much.
So we'll make sure we see everybody next time. And again, like I always say, always make sure that you have some kind of coach in your life that's moving the needle, because like you said, you don't know everything. They know things for you to move you in the right direction on where you're trying to go in your world, in your own lane of expertise. See you next week. Now we're going to get to the king. And this wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I couldn't when he came and I was like, oh, he signed up. He's coming on the show, Mr. Robert. And I know him I know he's in Toastmasters in the Toastmasters organization. Not just that, but see, I tell people, you never know who you're going to meet when you're in certain organizations, certain networking. So that's a little tip. Go to these networks, if it's in person or if it's online, because you never know the golden nuggets or the people in your life that's going to come in your life and be this amazing person to say, wow, I learned from you, or wow, you're doing something. Let me see what they're doing. Well, Mr. Robert Snyder, he is, he's an innovator, educator. He basically works with professionals to raise the personal value in their lives, in the workplace, the morale, project success rate. Who doesn't need that right now, especially with the morale? In fact, I'm thinking about he need to come into my world where I work at during the day in my corporate and kind of talk to all the leaders and just put them all together and say, okay, let's have some fun here because I need to help you. And he has his own business. He's a founder and president of his own company that he does all this wonderful togetherness. He's working on I know he told me he's working on a big project on his book. So that's going to be, I know that's going to be him. I can't wait till that come out. But we want to talk to him more about what he does innovation wise and what he does with his own business. And he's a speaker. Like I said, lots. Like I said, when you're royalty, you do a lot. But what the nice part about it is being that communicator, that leader, that speaker, that innovator, you're a lighthouse to the world because people are watching you and they can learn and grow from you. And that's what Robert does for people. So before, again, I bring on royalty, I got to make sure I do it right. And we will hear this wonderful, wonderful, this world changer about what he does. Robert.
Hi there, Barbara. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, sir. Very excited for you to be on the Coach's Lounge with me.
Delighted to be here.
Yes. So I want to start out first, like I said, by thanking you. And I want to really, like I said, because this is not about me. I always have to do this. As a speaker, I have to really do a lot of this because it's about my guests. It's not about me. So with that, Robert, I want you, before you go into some tips and things that you do when you're helping others, is give a little backstory on how you just, kind of started in the lane that you're in.
Okay, sure. Thanks. 30-year career in project management, innovation, and the performing arts. And over the last 10 years of my career, I started drawing conclusions about what's healthy and what's not healthy in the world of project management, innovation, and teamwork. And then I attended a webinar in 2018 entitled, "Do You Have a Book in You?" And I concluded, I probably do. And the challenge was, just like you can't take it to the grave, meaning money, you can't take your talent to the grave. And I concluded that my talent, my unique genius, is cross-pollinating certain metaphors, especially the performing arts. But there are metaphors that I weave together to shape cultures of discipline and empathy. Because all companies, whatever your level of discipline is, you need more. You're going to profit if you dial up your discipline. And all companies, regardless of your current level of empathy, you're going to profit more when you dial up your empathy. So the combination of discipline and empathy, I call elegance. And I'll contrast that with messiness, or this acronym VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And so my book and my consulting practice aims to shape cultures for discipline, empathy, elegance. So I'll pause there as a start.
Well, first of all, I love how you're taking the discipline and empathy, because I don't think that's a good spin. compared to, the regular, what I hear, especially because I'm taking my corporate job here right now, because I do that on during my daytime job. And empathy is never really stated a lot. Discipline, yeah, sometimes, but empathy is like totally kind of pushed aside in a little corner somewhere. And I think you bringing that out and showing that to people, that is so important. Like you said, too, grow out. I love how you said that.
Empathy, some people will label it as soft, charity. And because empathy is not mandatory, when a company has great empathy, I think it's fair to call it a competitive advantage. And empathy requires collaboration with your customer, with your employees, even with sometimes your opponent. Let's sit down, compromise, collaborate. So empathy is a competitive advantage. And as the world turns more hyper competitive, well, what is the frontier of profitability, love, productivity? It's having a collaborative advantage. So imitating a symphony, imitating a dance couple, right? I think these are powerful metaphors to shape empathy and make sure, hey, after the audition, clarinet, don't undermine the saxophone player. Soprano, don't undermine the alto. Because we're after the audition. There's a time and place for competition of ideas. And then there's a time and place for the collaboration of people. You can be aggressive with process, gentle with people, and the nature of business today requires both.
I love how you did that, because we're in a time where competition is just like whoosh. To the point where people like, okay, we got how many people on this planet? And everybody's just, it's like a fight to the death. It's like, oh my God. I sometimes stand back and say, hey, have it, you can have it, But I love how you said that, Robert, about that. And then I love how you're right. This is basically an asset if you throw in empathy, because like you said, people say, well, you're soft, you're this and that, and they don't look at, they see not the strength in it, but there's more strength in it than what they don't even understand when you do show the empathy, because you're dealing with people. See, that's what I keep telling you. You're dealing with people. I mean, I'm thinking of my own business too. I always talk about building relationships. That's the number one thing I always think about before they become a client, is I have to build that relationship. I hate when people get on, and I'm just gonna put it out there real quickly. On LinkedIn, you got the messenger, and somebody says, hey, my name is such and such, and I have this to sell to you. And I'm like, you don't know who I am. Did you look at my bio? Do you even think that I need this? Or would this help me in what you read, what you didn't read? So, that just really is just one of my like pet peeves. And I tell myself I never want to do that, because I do need to show that, build that relationship and show what their needs are.
When people know you care, they feel safe. Trust is there. The work can go faster, higher quality, and your stakeholders can grasp, who is this person ambitious on behalf of? It's one thing to put on your oxygen mask. Every flight attendant everywhere tells us, before you help others, make sure your own oxygen mask is on first, because when you're dead, you're not good to anybody. So absolutely be ambitious on behalf of yourself for your oxygen mask. But at some point, the people you work with, they want to know that you are ambitious on their behalf. And the opposite extreme is narcissism. Market of one. Ain't nobody got time for narcissism. The narcissist will continue to start losing in the marketplace. We just have to have the right frameworks and metaphors and habits and language so that we are imitating a symphony. And we know exactly what progress looks like. There's that cliche about there's a difference between productivity and activity. And the language, the words we choose can help us stay focused for discipline and stay focused for empathy. But it starts with, do you care? Who do you care about?
Yeah.
And do they know? Can they tell?
Yeah, definitely. Now, Robert, I was going to ask you now, when you are working with, individuals or companies, what is like the first step that you take? Because I mean, like I said, this is powerful concept that you have that, like I said, a lot of companies should be looking at this more clearly. So what kind of first step that you take to let them know that, this is something that you offer or something that they know that they need, but they might not know, they might not understand?
Step one is listen. Let customers get their concerns, their points of pain. Ms. Bradford, your previous guest, I was madly taking notes because she had dozens of great points, and her world and my world overlap quite a bit. The first step is to listen. Understand your customers' perceptions of what their points of pain are. What do they feel is going well? What do they think could be improved? That would be my first two steps. Listen and understand their perception, their self-awareness, and whether I would agree to say, yeah, I think their self-awareness is pretty healthy. Is their humility there? How safe do I feel giving them the tough love? Or saying, hey, by the way, here's where I think the first blind spot or the path of least resistance might be for you to crawl, walk, run to better habits.
Yeah, I like that. Because I was just thinking that would help a lot. Like you said, within what you do too, is like the workplace morale. And I think if you pinpoint, where you need to, like you said, put that information to them, I think that's going to help a lot. Because I was just thinking about today, the workplace morale is a little bit different than it used to be, especially with our little COVID that came in the play. They're talking about this is like the biggest, people are just leaving, period. I mean, it's like they found their genius and their purpose, and they're like, why am I really here? Or do they really care about where I want to go within this company? Or I've been going for this position for 20 years and still they haven't even picked me. Well, I'm gone. So a lot of companies are losing a lot of good talent. So that, how would you, with that going on, how would you kind of help the company with that?
What comes to my mind as I listen, Barbara, the first is that the cliche, nothing will change until the status quo is more painful than the transition.
That's good.
That can apply to, changing apartments, changing where you live, changing who your significant other is. It can be changing jobs, changing boundaries between people where a relationship may not be the healthiest. So that's where my mind first goes. Second place, as I listen, Barbara, is the word options, alternatives. Being able to walk away from a dysfunctional or an unhappy job or a toxic work environment, that is powerful. I grew up in Central Illinois where the we versus them at a certain Central Illinois employer, management versus union. And my childhood friends' dads who were working there, they were all concerned about job security. Well, then, and especially now, why does anyone put much weight on job security? I mean, you can talk about company viability and robustness in a company's prospects, but job security, to prioritize job security at the expense of career security, bad idea. You have to invert that. And everyone has a selfish but a healthy motive. Be ambitious on behalf of your family to, if you're a breadwinner in your family, you got to choose career security over job security. And just like Ms. Bradford mentioned, when the waves of change come, you can build a sandcastle, you can grab your surfboard. Or the other cliche is when the winds of change come, some build walls and others build windmills. Right? So self-awareness of how fragile is your job, how fragile is your career. And if it feels fragile, you better take steps to make it more robust and resilient.
That's good.
Yeah, that's where my mind goes. Is options. Vulnerability that's another buzzword recently. Being vulnerable on your own terms, being vulnerable and I'll stick with vulnerability. Vulnerability on your own terms, awesome. Vulnerability at someone else's terms,
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction, I think. When thought leaders of the world tout vulnerability, humility, being a good listener, being impressionable, those are all great, but a backbone is also, backbone, boundaries, and the ability to walk away. Everyone needs that safety valve for if and when they find themselves in a toxic environment.
Yeah. And I like how you said, because I was grown in my years of when I was growing up. My mother, especially my mother, she would always say, job security, whatever. I'm like, well, Mom, I don't like this. I really don't like. I don't care what you like, Barbara. You need to stay on that job. You need to stay there until you retire. You need to. It was that this was granted in me, and I was like, I'm losing myself. I was in my mind, it's like, I don't like this, but I gotta stay there because she told me I gotta, But I love how you said, you have to. It's career security. It's what you really want, and I think a lot of people have been coming to their, like you said, to that point to say, I'm not liking this no more. You do talk about vulnerability. It takes a lot to, like you said, step off and jump, and a lot of people have been doing that, and some of them have been falling really nice. Some of them, we're all gonna have those, issues and challenges because that's part of life. But if you don't even try to do it, that to me, that's really sad. And like you just said, Robert, you can't take your talents to the grave. It's just, no, you have too much. You have too much. I have too much. We all to sit there and be, just kind of on the sidelines or just say, no, I better not. Don't want to make that decision right now, because of security reasons. Yeah. Love it. But I want to just say before we basically tell them how to contact you, because I really want everybody to make sure they know how to contact you, because you are really talking some information that's needed. I love where you're going down the road of helping people, especially when it comes to that, being just understanding people, just having some empathy. We're missing that right now. I can shout that to the rooftop. So I'm glad that you are on that, and that's your creative genius that you're telling people. I want to make sure I give you some time for some last thoughts for the audience, and I'm going to come back up and take myself down, and we'll come back up, and then we can close out for you, and they can see how they can contact you as well.
All right. Thanks again, Barbara, for having me. My parting thoughts for your viewers: discipline and empathy are really competitive advantages for your team. All big successes in the world consist of 1,001 small successes, small acts of discipline, small acts of empathy. And I think that the metaphors of a factory, a conveyor belt of collaboration is a healthy metaphor for teams to collaborate and compete. Competition of ideas, collaboration of people. And the other metaphor that I like to promote is the performing arts. The performing arts have amazing audience centricity, also known as customer centricity. And the performing arts give teams the ability to really intelligently place when is competition the right and the smart thing to do. When is collaboration the right and the smart and the profitable thing to do? So when you are reflecting on the health of your team, the productivity and the profitability of your team, please consider the metaphor of a factory, because it's about speed, quality, waste, focus, discipline, and think about what it means to imitate a symphony. Listen, balance, harmonize, pacing yourself for that go live event and pacing yourself through each and every song that your ensemble prepares and performs for your audience. So those would be my parting comments. For discipline and empathy, imitate a factory and imitate any of the performing arts. And together, amazing discipline, amazing empathy is a recipe for success, profitability, and a wonderful employee experience.
Amazing, amazing. I love the afterthoughts for my guests. So, Robert, thank you so much for leaving that, like I said, golden nuggets and just understanding that in that area. And also, I put down Robert's information on his LinkedIn. Now, Robert, is there any other way they can contact you? Because I want to make sure that they get that information from you.
I think LinkedIn is the best way. I'm a solopreneur at the moment. You can find me at innovationelegance.com. There are blogs and videos if you want to, just one baby step to consume what I'm putting out there. And if you'd like to find me on LinkedIn, Robert Snyder, Snyder. Would love to hear from your viewers if they have more to share or respond or ask related to innovation, project management, change management, how the arts matter, teamwork, collaboration, empathy.
Yes, I love it. So Robert, we're going to have to, I'm going to throw this out here, have to have you back, sir, especially, we haven't even dug into the other item that you do, like the project management. I mean, it's a whole nother conversation. So I would love to have you back on the Coaches Lounge when you have a chance. And thank you again. Viewers, as you see, there's a contact information below. Also, if you are like, okay, I didn't really get to hear that, reach out to me. I always tell people I am that informational person to give you those coaches, educators, and consultants that are coming on the show. So, Robert, thank you again so much. I wish you many, many success. And like I said, it's not the last that we will see you doing what you do. And I really encourage everybody. His book is in the making. It's going to be coming. So be ready. And we will bring him. We'll ask Rob to come back on so we can talk more about that once that becomes, that New York Times seller. I'm putting it out there. Robert.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Barbara. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.